silent scars. The hidden dangers lurking at home. The rhythmic tapping of a keyboard echoed through the dimly lit home office. Sandra barely glanced up as her 7-year-old daughter, Ella, peered into the room. "Mom, can you help me with my homework?" The little girl's voice was barely above a whisper. "Not now, sweetheart. Mommy's got a deadline." Sandra's fingers didn't pause on the keys. "Go ask your dad." Ella sighed. "He's on a business trip." "Then ask Aunt Linda. She's in the living room." Sandra waved her away without looking. Ella hesitated before retreating. Aunt Linda, her father's younger sister, had moved in months ago to help with house chores while Sandra and her husband juggled demanding careers. But lately, Linda's help came with uneasy moments-long stares, a touch that lingered a little too long. Ella returned to her room, clutching her notebook. She didn't want to go to Aunt Linda. She didn't want to be alone either. Sandra's job in corporate finance had become her entire world. Late nights, early mornings, virtual meetings, she did it all for her family. Or so she believed. She barely noticed how withdrawn Ella had become, how her once bright, talkative daughter now preferred the shadows. And when the nightmare started, Ella waking up screaming, drenched in sweat, Sandra assumed it was just a phase. "She's probably watching too much TV," she muttered to her husband over the phone one evening. "Maybe she needs more time with you," he suggested. "Or maybe someone's bothering her." Sandra scoffed. "Who? Linda's been amazing. She even reads to Ella at night." She never saw the way Ella flinched when Linda brushed a hand over her hair. One evening, Sandra got home earlier than usual. She heard soft murmurs from Ella's bedroom. "Don't tell Mommy. This is our little secret." Sandra froze. Her blood turned to ice as she pushed the door open. Linda sat on Ella's bed, too close, whispering into her ear. Ella's wide eyes darted to her mother, silently pleading. A lifetime of regret punched Sandra in the gut. How had she not noticed? How had she missed the signs? Sandra's hands trembled as she gripped her phone, dialing her husband's number. "Come home. Now." Linda stood, her face unreadable. "Sandra, you don't understand. I was just..." "Get out." Sandra's voice was dangerously low, her rage barely contained. "Get out before I call the police." Ella clung to her mother, shaking. The moment Linda left, Sandra fell to her knees, holding her daughter so tightly it hurt. "I am so sorry, baby. I should have been paying attention." Ella sobbed against her mother's chest. "She said you wouldn't believe me. That you were too busy." Sandra felt something inside her crack. Had she been that blind? As a mother, she had always believed that family was a safe haven. But she had learned a painful truth: sometimes, the biggest threats were the ones who were familiar faces. She took Ella to a therapist the next day. The doctor asked gently, "Ella, can you tell me what happened?" Ella hesitated. "Aunt Linda would touch me. She said it was a game. She said she had get mad if I told." Sandra's nails dug into her palms. The guilt was unbearable. She reported Linda to the authorities. But the shame in their extended family was overwhelming. "She's your husband's sister. How could you ruin her life like this?" Some relatives whispered. "She ruined her own life," Sandra spat. "And she nearly destroyed my daughter's." This wasn't just about Ella anymore. It was about every child whose voice had been silenced. Sandra decided she wouldn't be one of those parents who ignored the warnings. She became vigilant, asking questions, checking in, and ensuring that no adult was left alone with her daughter. But despite all her efforts, one painful question remained: had she caught it too late? The days passed, but Ella wasn't the same. She barely spoke. She avoided eye contact. She refused to sleep alone. Sandra read everything she could about childhood trauma. The signs had been there all along. Sudden withdrawal. Ella stopped being her bubbly self. Fear of certain people. She flinched whenever Linda was mentioned. Nightmares, the ones Sandra had ignored. Loss of appetite and random mood swings. Sandra felt sick. If she had paid attention sooner, could she have stopped it before it began? One night, as Sandra tucked Ella into bed, she whispered, "Baby, I promise I will always listen to you now. No matter how busy I am. No matter what." Ella's small fingers curled around her mother's hand. "I was scared, Mommy. I thought you wouldn't believe me." Sandra kissed her forehead, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I will always believe you. And I will never let anyone hurt you again." For the first time in weeks, Ella smiled, a small, hesitant smile, but a smile nonetheless. Sandra knew their journey to healing would be long. But she also knew one thing for sure. She would never let silence endanger her daughter again. This story isn't just fiction. It happens in real life every day, in homes where parents are too busy to notice. Protect your children by being present, asking questions, and never dismissing their fears. Because sometimes, the real monsters aren't strangers. They are the ones we